Nationwide blackouts are occurring once too many times in our country, and this is a national embarrassment. This tells me we have a problem that needs to be fixed. A conservative estimate states that between 2017 and now, Nigeria's power grid has collapsed close to 48 times. That's embarrassing. And so we have been left in darkness again as the electricity grid controlled from Osun State collapsed at about 4:30 a.m. we're told on Thursday. Now, the distribution companies, the discos that is across the country, disclosed that their feeders were out, thereby leaving their franchise areas in darkness countrywide. Even about this is, these are times that try men's souls, as we say.
These are not funny times. And you see, government should endeavor to explore all the avenues. There's need for attention to solar, to wind, to HFO, that is heavy fuel oil.
Yeah.
That through all of this means we can get electricity. So when an aspect of production fails, there are other aspects that would augment. Well, we take care of that failure. But in this case, once there's a problem, there's a problem. And I recall there was a time there was an outcry that there was gas constraints. So the issues are there. Meanwhile, the reason... Man-made. So the government has to do something. What are the root causes? There are many reasons. We are talking about dilapidated equipment. We're talking about... Okay, we're talking about a country we live in where we are oil producers, and yet we suffer gas constraints. And don't forget, we are supposed to, I think we are supposed to, for us to have a balanced supply, we should have about 33,000 megawatts. And what do we have on ground? Not even up to 15 megawatts. So we will keep having these problems until government chooses to face it and solve it.
Well, because the problems are ones we can deal with.
Yeah, I think it's a recurrent problem. Collapse of national grid has become a yearly ritual. And in the last 10 years, I think more than 141 times. It shows that these problems are fundamental. And it shows that for the past years, successive governments have failed to address the problem. And it's also a sign of the fact that we are underdeveloped. Because if you look at Ghana, for instance, 86% of people have access to electricity. In Nigeria, it's just about 59% of people. Ghana even produces electricity megawatts more than Nigeria, 5,000 plus in Ghana. Ghana is just about 30 million people. South Africa, about 58,000. Egypt, about 55,000. Even Ethiopia, about 17,000 megawatts. Yes. So our own now, we are talking about 2,984. That's dropped down from about 4,000. I think the highest we ever goes around maybe 5,000 to 6,000.
5,000 to 6,000. So, and when we hit that, we roll out the drum.
Yeah. So I think for a population of 200 million, you see, electricity has a lot of implications. Security, industrialization, economic growth, health, health services, and even food consumption, agriculture. So if you cannot fix energy, forget about it. Every other thing.
21st century world.
21st century. So I think what the president should do, we have 11 discos. I think we need to register more. There should be, if we are truly a competitive economy, more actors should be brought up to the field. I also think...
Sorry, Wally. I thought in the dying days of the last administration, electricity generation and what have you was removed from the exclusive list.
But transition of electricity, I think is still being monopolized by the
government.
So I think
the transmission company.
We're happy about what happened in Abia State. What has happened there? You know, so I think other states...
It tells you it is possible.
It is possible for other states to... We should not just be waiting for federal government for everything. The best the federal government can do is to, you know, create the enabling environment. And then we should be talking about regional cooperation. The Niger Delta states, for instance, I think they had Brace Commission at the time, you know, represent all the states in Niger Delta. There should be regional cooperation so that they can have their own electricity generating company. And then the same thing for the southwest states. Because it's ridiculous that at this age, we cannot provide electricity. And if we cannot do that, every aspect of our life will be affected.
Even about, have you heard something like countries do not depend on national grids anymore? Have you heard that?
It is tied to development. And like you know, we are still struggling to develop. And I feel that if the government is very deliberate, because there are some issues that should be on the front burner.
Yeah. And
electricity supply is one of them. So if the government is not taking the bull by the horn concerning the electricity supply, we're going to keep talking about this every now and then. Have you looked at...
Right from the time of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, you know, if we got it right, by today, the Naira would have been giving back its glory.
We have to be deliberate because it's like we are just serving a section that is very, I mean, the percentage is so little compared to the larger population. We need to look at all of our problems and bring, I was talking about, you know, analytical ability. We have them in Nigeria, we have problem solvers. We have people who are smart. They are technocrats, they are experts in their field. They can handle these things. But nobody's giving them the opportunity. Why do we have to talk about grid collapse at this time in this 21st century? When in other countries you find some of their undergraduates are coming up with, you know, they are building, you know, inventing so many things.
Yeah.
Then we are here talking about the collapse of the grid. Like he said, I'm very happy for what is going on in Abia State, and I hope that other governors will emulate because it is beginning to look like the federal government is too slack on handling this because they are the ones that are at the upper end of it, the TCN. So if they cannot handle this, they should disseminate it.
Yeah. Well, Akwa Ibom, for instance, produces from the Ibom power plant somewhere at Ikorobase, produces no less than 101 megawatts.
That's a lot.
And the whole of the state, I understand, does not require more than 50 megawatts, which is saying if you produce that much, you can sell the remaining. But when you empty 101 megawatts into the national grid, what returns to you is
almost nothing.
Almost nothing.
Yeah. That is why
that's a problem.
Yes, that's why in terms of transmission, you know, the federal government needs to hands off. They should allow, you know, they should decentralize. The federal government should unburden itself. The federal government is carrying too much burden.
Oh, yeah.
We should not be talking, we can talk about grid collapse in Edo, in Ekiti, or whatever, but national grid collapse.
At the provinces.
I mean, yeah, the provinces, it shouldn't happen. You know, there should be some level of autonomy for people to be able to develop on their own in terms of providing electricity for their people.
Oh, yeah.
And in this age where people are moving towards renewable energy, look at the tons of waste that Lagos generates. So it means that Lagos on its own can even provide electricity for itself. So the process must start.
In the ECN of yore, Electricity Corporation of Nigeria of yore, Enugu produced coal.
Coal, yeah. Yeah.
We had energy from coal, you know. And so are you asking me, South Africa still depends on
over
coal?
70% of provision of energy in South Africa is from coal.
Coal. So what can be...
We have no excuse. We just need to get people that are determined, you know, who are ready to create a kind of paradigm shift from the rot of these past years. And I think it is possible. It's possible for us to...
Even about if in the 21st century Nigeria, we are still importing bitumen when we have the second largest deposits in the whole world here in Nigeria. It tells you something is wrong.
It's a shame.
Something is wrong.
So our leaders should go back to the drawing board and do the right thing because we cannot continue to live like people who live around water and yet they are always thirsty. It's a shame. It's a complete shame.
All right, we'll take a breather now, go on a commercial break, but please stay with us. Don't go just yet. All right, Wale, in taking these power problems home, we are saying we have had one collapse of the national grid, too many.
Yeah.
I think we can tell ourselves enough is already too much.
Yeah. Enough is enough, because as it is now, we are in the level of a country like Mali, that just about 53% of the population, access to electricity. So how can we be calling ourselves giant of West Africa when Ghana has better provision of electricity? Cote d'Ivoire is about 68% access to electricity. So this is a fundamental problem that you cannot talk of industrialization without tackling the problem of electricity. I think enough is enough. And I have hope that the current regime, at least from what we have seen in Lagos over the past years, the capacity is there for this current government. There's, we can say that the government, the people in power now understand this problem. And we are hoping that in the next 1 year, they will, increase our hope.
Even about, you remember in the early days of the president being governor of Lagos State, he had a near running battle between him and Abuja.
Yes.
Over the Enron Pass project. So the former governor is now the #1 citizen. So he has a wide field.
He does, and the capacity. He has the capacity. He has the hand, because Mr. President, that I knew as a governor then, has this penchant for fishing for the right hands. So he should do the needful.
Yeah.
He should do the needful.
And Wale, you have heard about the Electricity Act.
Yeah.
Is it helpful here?
Well, I think the most important aspect of that act is the fact that at least the federal government no longer has the monopoly. So the other aspect is the capacity of states, to be able to seize the momentum.
Yeah.
And that's why we are taking that there should be cooperation. The Southwest State, for instance, should have a strategic meeting on, look, our people don't have access to electricity, what can we do? Not in the case where one state cannot take over, the challenge headlong, then the state should learn to collaborate. And
Wale, are we talking magic here? If we remind the viewer that Lagos State Secretariat here runs on solar.
Oh yeah, they can do it. So we were talking about Enron. You could imagine the resources invested in that the then president just allowed the thing to just go, to the drain pipe. But hopefully, thankfully that we are no longer in that era any longer. So something needs to be done, and we should not just be focusing on gas. We should look at renewable energy, which is the slogan all over the world.
That's
turning waste into wealth. That's what they do in Singapore, and where there is no culture. A striking example, we do. So even though we have not had that kind of culture here, but we can learn from what other countries are doing. And I don't think it's rocket science. Because without energy, health will suffer, education will suffer, agriculture will suffer, almost everything will suffer. Even crime will increase beyond the increase, because energy drives, is the pivot, that rotates, the industrial and economic development of any country.
All right. Again, we are molding opinion.